Afternoon, the December 5th, 2024 regular board meeting of the City Colleges of Chicago is now called to order. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the chief advisor please call the roll?
Chair Lucas,
Present.
Vice Chair Hatch,
Present.
Secretary Davis,
Present.
Trustee Hightower,
Present.
Trustee Ramirez.
Present.
Let the record show that in accordance with the Illinois Public Community College Act and the Illinois Open Meetings Act, we have a quorum. Welcome to the City Colleges of Chicago Board of Trustees regular board meeting for December 2024. I am very pleased to see everyone. Thank you, President Hollingworth, for hosting our meeting today. We just had a delicious lunch. As we begin the month of December, I hope that everyone made the best of our recent holiday and are looking forward to the new year with hope and motivation for the future. Congratulations to all of our faculty, staff, and students as they near the end of another semester. All the best to students taking finals. The board wishes everyone a safe and healthy holiday season. Today is the last meeting that Trustee Davis will attend as her term has ended. Chief Advisor, would you please read Resolution 112?
Resolution of Appreciation of Peggy A. Davis, the Office of the Board of Trustees. Whereas Peggy A. Davis has served with distinction as Secretary of the Board of Trustees of the City Colleges of Chicago since April 2019. And whereas Peggy A. Davis also served as Chair of the City Colleges 2024 Board Decennial Committee. And whereas Peggy A. Davis, in her role as trustee, also served as a board liaison to Malcolm X College. And whereas over the course of her dedicated service, Peggy A. Davis has exhibited exceptional leadership, sound judgment, and a strong governance. And whereas during her board tenure, City Colleges has established itself as a leader among community colleges as it launched the Chicago Roadmap, a national model of a K-12 community college partnership with the Chicago Public Schools, launched a 5-year strategic framework and college strategic plans, launched Future Ready, a free college program for students in pursuit of in-demand short-term credentials, launched the Fresh Start Debt Forgiveness Program, grew in-demand programs in information technology, early childhood education, engineering, and more, expanded student support, managed successfully through a once-in-a-lifetime COVID pandemic, and achieved post-pandemic enrollment growth exceeding state and national averages, among other efforts. And whereas Peggy A. Davis is a tireless advocate for City Colleges of Chicago and a champion for its students. And now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Community College District Number 508, County of Cook and State of Illinois, along with the Chancellor and the rest of the City Colleges of Chicago community, recognize Peggy A. Davis for her service to the district and the citizens of the City of Chicago and extend their heartfelt thanks for her leadership and deep commitment. Be it further resolved that this resolution will be presented to Peggy A. Davis as a symbol of the board's honor, thanks, and respect on this day, December 5, 2024, the Office of the Board of Trustees.
With that, I would like to make a motion to approve the resolution of appreciation of Peggy A. Davis with a roll call vote. Chief Advisor, please call the roll.
Chair Lucas,
Approved?
Vice Chair Hatch,
Approved.
Trustee Hightower,
Approved.
Trustee Ramirez.
Approved.
Thank you. The resolution has been approved. I would like to express the board's gratitude and appreciation to Trustee Peggy Davis, who has served as the secretary and a member of our board since 2017. Thank you for your service.
I just want to say thank you. I remember the day that Juan came to me and asked me to serve on the board, and I did not have a lot of context for what was happening now, right? I knew about when, and I've seen so much that is good happen during this period. All credit is due to the staff and to executive leadership for the progress that City Colleges continues to achieve over time. It's been my pleasure to serve with a number of wonderful people, and Reverend Hatch and I were saying that we were happy that even with the change in leadership that I've had an opportunity to meet those of you who will go on. So great things ahead for City Colleges, and it's been my pleasure to serve.
As a reminder, the next regular board meeting will be on Thursday, February 2, 2025 at Richard Daley College. Also, for the record, the FC4 president will not be attending the meeting today. However, the report will be entered into the record. That concludes my remarks. Student trustee David Ramirez, please proceed with your report.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Nukas. All right, so I will start with the total number of district-wide events that were reported. We have 33, 19 student social events, 1 community event, 5 resource events, 2 student family events, 3 advocacy events, and 3 other events. My goals for the academic year continue to remain the same: boosting awareness of the SGA and the student trustee position, continuing to encourage collaboration and engagement between the City College campuses, and the monthly trustee visits to each of the City College campuses. So some highlights would be, as chair of ICCB-SAC, ICCB met at the Richard J. Daley College, my home campus, for the next in-person meeting, which was held on November 8th. ICCB-SAC mentions that they love Daley's campus, as well as the different facilities and departments. We continue to discuss topics to advocate for Advocacy Day, which the date is still to be determined. The main topic of choice continues to be access to mental health resources and state budgeting. Moving on to announcements. As we conclude this semester, I would like to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude to our college presidents, specifically Dr. Janine Janowski, for continuing to meet with their respective student government associations each month. This commitment is invaluable, and I believe that it is essential that we continue to demonstrate consistent support for our SGAs. Considering the challenges that many SGAs face with student engagement, it is encouraging to know that they receive strong support from their college leadership as they strive to foster inclusive, engaging, and welcoming environments for all their students. Thank you once again for your dedication and support, college presidents. Thank you. I had the privilege of completing my first student trustee visit to Wilbur Wright College on November 14th, and upon arrival, I was warmly welcomed by the Wilbur Wright Student Government Association. Although my initial purpose was to attend their general meeting, I was graciously invited to remain for their senator bonding session. I ended up staying for a total of 9 hours, and I do not regret the time spent, as it provided me with the opportunity to engage with the Wilbur Wright SGA. President Oroz, I hope you know and are aware of the exceptional talent within the Wilbur Wright SGA. Wilbur Wright is one of the few institutions with impressive levels of student engagement, particularly in student government, and their dedication is truly commendable. I am elated to announce that I have also been elected to take on the role of president of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society Pi Rho chapter at my home campus, Richard J. Daley. I've been a member of Phi Theta Kappa since fall of 2023 and was inducted into the organization this past April. Chancellor, board members, and college presidents, and others, thank you for the opportunity of allowing me to serve this semester as the student trustee. Your warmth, support, and guidance through this amazing experience have been invaluable, and I am grateful for the welcoming environment you have all provided. I look forward to continuing to work together next semester and to further our shared commitment to the success and the well-being of all our students. Remember, just as we nurture the growth of our institutions, we must also care for the well-being of those who make it all possible. Mental health matters. Make yours a priority and not an afterthought. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. Thank you. Thank you. Due to the rescheduling of November's DSGA meeting and the proximity of finals week, many SGAs did not submit a report for this meeting. This concludes my student trustee report. Thank you.
Thank you, Student Trustee Ramirez. Chancellor Salgado, please proceed with your remarks.
Thank you, Chair. I actually want to start by just reflecting on how amazing it is that we have Student Trustee Ramirez leading in the way that you are leading. And I think it's important to reiterate that you've been chosen among student leaders across the state of Illinois to lead the student voice across the state of Illinois. And that's an awesome experience. And then you went and hosted, right? At your campus, which, you know, is really a source of pride for you, for all of Daly, but also for, you know, all of us here. And deep appreciation for the extra time that you're putting in to actually go and visit the SGAs, right? I'm sure it's very rewarding. You wouldn't have stayed for 9 hours, you know, there if it wasn't. But nonetheless, it is, you know, extra effort, extra time, and extra commitment that you're putting in, and a great demonstration of your leadership. So we thank you so much. Yep. I want to turn it over to our host for today, President Kimberly Hollingsworth and Olive Harvey College. And you are not alone.
I'm not.
You have come with a whole entourage.
I
And
have,
so
I have.
Please welcome us and
Sure.
share some words.
Thank you, Chancellor. Good afternoon, Chair Nukas, Vice Chair Hatch, trustees, Chancellor Salgado, Provost Potter, fellow presidents, and officers of the district. Welcome to Olive Harvey College. Today's board meeting is being hosted in our 103,000 square foot state-of-the-art Transportation, Distribution, and Logistics Center. The center is home to the following programs: CDL A and B, Auto and Diesel Technology, Electric Vehicle Repair, Aviation Maintenance Technology, Supply Chain Management and Logistics, and Forklift. Our center opened its doors in fall of 2019. Over the past 3 years, our TDL programs have realized a 118% increase in enrollment. A contributing factor to our enrollment growth over the last few years has been our ability to forge strategic partnerships. Today's meeting location and backdrop makes it befitting to showcase our partners. Our newest partner, Rivian, in collaboration with OHC, offers a 5-month paid apprenticeship program in electric vehicle repair. Since its inception, Rivian has placed every program completer in a service center with an annual salary of over $65,000. The Rivian vehicles are prominently displayed today at the entrance of the TDL Center and behind the podium. OHC has continued to foster strong relationships with key transportation entities, such as the Chicago Transit Authority, Pace Bus, and AAR. These partners have donated vehicles and even a fuselage. These partners' vehicles are located throughout our center, and OHC has utilized these program services for training purposes. Another proud partnership exists between OHC and the Chicago Police Department. Our CPD partner waives the written exam for completers of our 1-year and out program. This exam has historically impeded Black and brown applicants from entering the police academy. As a result of our partnership, our criminal justice program has seen an increase in enrollment from 26 students in 2021 to over 225 students currently. CPD, as well as the Illinois State Police, with whom we are forging a similar relationship, are here with us today and were represented outside upon your arrival. I'd like to offer a special thank you to Sergeant McLean from Chicago Police Department and Trooper Nettles for being in attendance today. Thank you. Switching gears, pun intended, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the amazing faculty and staff here at Olive Harvey College. I am in awe of this college and all we have accomplished over the past few years. Time does not permit me to acknowledge everyone, but there are two departments specifically that have greatly contributed to our success: our amazing advising department and our athletic program. Our college advisors have completely bought into the strategic vision of the district and have fully embraced our new student advising campaign. Our advisors champion our students and our athletes. They are the real MVPs. I would like my advisors to please stand up. They are here. Oh, they're in the back. We have Veronica Duran, Michael Porras, Felicia Spalding, Gabriel Bradley, Lavetta Houston, and Elizabeth Del Toro. Cherie Hardwick cannot join us today. Now, speaking of the real MVPs, our athletic program and student athletes have had unprecedented success. Under the leadership of A.D. Fletcher, our program has been identified by our ATD coaches as an internal best practice. This fall, OHC has over 120 student athletes enrolled, the largest in the district. And so, in closing, no, I do not have a fancy video like Truman College, but I do have my athletic team present. They are here to personally welcome you to the college. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Assistant Athletic Director Blissett.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'll be brief on, we understand the level of importance that this event holds, and can you hear me? We understand the level of importance that this event holds, and on behalf of Dr. Kimberly Hollingsworth, Robert Fletcher, and myself, Robert Blissett, we would like to extend a very warm welcome. Appreciate it. We just want to extend a very warm welcome to you. So, student athletes, can I have you rise? You guys know the drill. We rehearsed. Okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Oh, my goodness. Actually, yeah, enough for everybody, you know.
Thank you, Chancellor.
Thank you. Well, I don't know. I got a bat. She's Trustee Hightower said, what are you going to do with that bat? I tell a joke. I'm not going to do it to my wife. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Thank you, President. Later in this meeting, we're also going to receive a presentation from CFO Maribel Rodriguez and a team on the FY24 audit. And we really appreciate, by the way, thank you, athletes. Appreciate you. All right. Keep it going. I do, since it's the season of giving, and we should be taking notice of those students in need, right? We often see our students, and we see them in a fully human way. We see all of their talents and capabilities as we see these talents and capabilities of our athletes, and not just their athletic capabilities, but absolutely their academic capabilities and their academic pursuits. But one thing that we don't always know is what's going on in their lives, right? That may inhibit in some way the opportunities that are before them. And so we have taken the approach at City Colleges that we need to know. You know, we need to know. Since some time ago, you know, I think it was 2 years into my tenure, we did the basic needs survey, the first basic needs survey, to truly understand through Temple University, to truly understand what are the needs of our students. And we have administered that survey again, right? And so when you see our students, you know, walking around, understand that based on that survey, you know, we have a lot of food insecure students. We have a lot of housing insecure students. We have homeless students, you know, among us in high proportions, you know, over, you know, it's 59% for, you know, housing insecurity. And so, you know, these are things that we need to address as an institution, you know, and we are beginning to do that. I want to tell you that not only did we do the Temple University study, but we also did a small study at Kennedy King College, you know, a little different kind of a survey, a little more localized, but, you know, and with a little more specificity. And we heard from those students, 75% of them were worried about their household having enough food, you know, the next day. You know, 43% said they struggle to pay attention in class because of hunger. And so I want you all to know that this is an institution, you know, there's a lot of institutions that don't do the survey, as they don't want to know, okay? We do the survey, and not only are we doing the survey, but we're going to respond to this. We have responded. We opened up some food pantries across all of our campuses, and we're also building a big partnership, major partnership now with the Greater Chicago Food Depository to look at how do we expand those food pantries. And this is going to take a little time. You know, how do we create more offering, more hours, you know, just better overall service for those students in those food pantries, but also looking at piloting with them over time a gift card program that we may be able to do for our students to actually go out and, you know, purchase extra groceries that they may need, okay? So that's in the works. It's going to take a little bit of time. The great thing is we've got a highly reputable partner that's in this business that really wants to work with us to meet the student need. Having said that, we feel very, you know, we feel like we got to do something now. And so what you're going to see on the board report today is a pilot where we're going to pay for on-campus meals for 900 food insecure students during the spring term. We're going to do 300 students each at 3 colleges, Kennedy King, Olive Harvey, and Malcolm X College. And the reason why we're doing it at those 3 colleges is, quite simply, that's what the data shows. The data is showing that those 3 colleges have by far the largest number of food insecure students. And, you know, we are going to work to bring that down. We're going to bring that down at these 3 colleges, and then we're going to bring it down at all of our colleges. We think this is a public policy issue, one that we plan to lead on well into the future. And this is the beginning of that leadership. And we know that when we support our students, we know it works. You know, we've increased mental health and wellness services on our campus. We've, you know, increased other student supports, and this is just another effort. You know, I appreciate President Hollingsworth, you recognizing the advisors, right? Because we've increased advising supports just by organizing ourselves, you know, to have a stronger, more vibrant, more coordinated effort, not just at this campus, but across, you know, all of our campuses, and it's really, really working. So I want to thank everybody involved in this enterprise, you know, of providing student supports. This is being led by the Office of Student Experience, by Arthur DePellia and her team. And we created the Office of Student Experience because we knew we were going to do much, much more of this kind of work, and we needed to do it well in a very coordinated fashion. I always want to thank Executive Vice Chancellor Veronica Herrero because we hosted a very fruitful, I think, funder briefing on this very topic. So we were exposing, many, many philanthropic givers to this opportunity for them to make a meaningful contribution toward the well-being and of our students. And this kind of thing, we're calling food security, we have this concept of food security for life, because we know that if we can get our students to persist through our programs, that the very thing that will give them food security for life is the credential and degree that we have, to provide at all of our colleges. And so this is really life-giving for our students, not just in the immediate term, but in the longer term. So we appreciate the board's support for this effort and all the student support efforts that we've had in the past. I also want to add to, my congratulations and gratitude to Secretary Davis for your leadership. This has been an important time. This was a moment of transition for me, as a leader too, coming in. The support of the board has been incredibly important to all of the work that we do. Governance is the, strongest part, of any institution, and thank you for understanding that and for helping us. You were here through the pandemic, any leader that was here through the pandemic, we leaned on you guys quite a bit. And we did a real good job in the pandemic. All said, done, there were lots of challenges. Some things went really well and some things we could have done better, but at the end of the day, I think that through the collective efforts of everybody, including the board, we served our students well. So thank you for your efforts. They are deeply appreciated. I also want to thank Vice Chair Hatch, for representing the board at the groundbreaking of the expansion of the Malcolm X College West Campus before the Thanksgiving holiday. I was not able to make it there, but President Sanders, you and your team, working with the district team, I heard it was an incredible event, so celebrated by the West Side community. The feeling, of okay, we've got a gem, and now we've got an expanded gem, and so I thank you all for your efforts, everyone who contributed. We had Representative LaShawn Ford, who was with us again yesterday at Truman College, but just incredible contributor, as was I think and Mayor Johnson was there. I was just with him a few minutes ago. He was very happy about the experience and the investment that's being made over there. So, Vice Chair Hatch, thank you for being there, for speaking, for helping us break ground, right, and putting it in context too, right. So, very, very much appreciated. I do want to also give kudos to the Truman College team. It was just yesterday, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yesterday we were over at Truman College. Chair Nukas was there, not just in her role here as chair of the City Colleges Board, but also as part of a team at the McCormick Foundation that made the initial investment in the Education Workforce Center. And just what a wonderful vision that is, too, to ensure, that there's a hub, for us to really, get the education workforce right, from early childhood, all the way through, post-secondary. And so, your vision and tenacity to make sure that happens, the support of foundations like the McCormick Foundation is really, really essential. So, it's I think it should be known that, our trustees are making a difference, beyond their coming to board meetings, right? They're making sure that our work is well understood in community and also well supported by, philanthropy, okay? So thank you to the trustees, thank you to, President Jackson, thank you, President Sanders, for your work. Those are two major things that I think we should be very, very proud of here at City Colleges. Look, I wanted you all to know that, last month I wasn't able to talk about this, but I did have the opportunity to represent City Colleges in the Oval Office with President Biden in the signing of, and with Secretary Miguel Cardona, of an executive order to strengthen federal support for Hispanic-serving institutions. And as you all know, City Colleges has 5 Hispanic-serving institutions and 2 emerging Hispanic-serving institutions, including Olive Harvey, which is an emerging HSI. And so we have a lot to say, in this space, and we've been leaders in that regard, right? And so it was really, really good to be there representing on behalf of all of you. I also want to congratulate, President Daniel Lopez, that I guess you're now the vice chair of the Hispanic Association for Colleges and Universities Governing Board, which is wonderful, because that's another representation. And Dr. Flores actually led that effort. Haku led that effort to get that executive order done. And so now City College is represented, right, at that table of Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities. So thank you so much for your efforts on that. And I'm going to miss out on some, but Daly College, President Janowski, I know you guys got recognized as one of 200 colleges and universities eligible for the U.S. Department of Education Post-Secondary Success Recognition Program. So congratulations to you and the team for that as well. And then I got to jump over, because I had a lot of fun over there at the Great Hall, where the Inglewood Community Advisory Council, and these are parents and community members. These are folks that are, about as close to the community as you can be. About attached to the community as you can be. And their advisory council honored Kennedy King College President Katanya Webb Walker with the group's Community Champion Award. So congrats to you, President Webb Walker. Very well deserved. They were so happy to honor you. It was a really, really nice event. I was happy to be there. And then congratulations both to EVC of Student Experience, Arthur DePalia, and Malcolm X College President David Sanders being recognized with the Titan 100 Award, which goes to CEOs that are making a difference in their institutions, in their communities. I also want to extend congratulations to Daily ESL and digital literacy instructor Margaret Larkin, who won the 2024 Chicago Silver Dome Award from the Illinois Broadcasters Association for her storytelling work with WGN AM Radio Online. So when you see Instructor Margaret Larkin, please say congratulations to her for that wonderful work. And this one's really important, There's something called the All-In Campus Democracy Challenge, right? This is in 2024, the most engaged campuses for college student voting, okay? So they look at colleges and they say, well, how engaged are these colleges in actual student voting? And guess how many one of our colleges were listed in the 2024 All-In Most Engaged Campuses for College Student Voting? Anybody got a guess how many? 7! All 7. So congratulations to all 7. Because voting does really make a difference, okay? And last but not least, since we had our athletes here today, right? Special congrats, we've got right here, it just says, this says right here what I was supposed to say. It says OHC 2024 NJCAA Division Champs, yeah, NCAA, and national, champs. This is our volleyball team at Olive Harvey College that were the champions for the region, right? For the region. This is the first ever regional championship, And to President Hollingsworth's point, we really have invested in athletics, I was going to take that. We really have invested in athletics, and I think back to, my first days here at City Colleges, boy, we had a really tough budget, and one of the things that, people said to me is, well, you could solve it, a good part of it just by getting rid of athletics, and I said, no, thank you. We're going to keep that. And not only have we kept that, but we've grown it, you know, and our student athletes contribute to the quality of student life in a great way at each one of our campuses. So we thank you for that. But it's not just, you know, it's fitting that you're standing right next to, you know, President Jackson, because the Truman College men's soccer team won Region 4 Division I championship, right? So I don't have a soccer ball right now to hold. But congratulations to the Truman College men's soccer team who won the Region 4 Division I championship. So with that, wish everybody a wonderful holiday, strong finish to the semester, and thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Salgado. We have one request for public participation today. When your name is called, please proceed to the podium where you will have up to 3 minutes to make remarks on the subject that you indicated in your communication to the board office. The chief advisor will notify you when you've used the 3 minutes of your time, and we ask that you kindly bring your remarks to a close. As you register, you were reminded of our procedures with regards to the nature of your comments, and I would ask you to respect and adhere to that direction and the time requirement. Chief Advisor, please proceed with the speaker.
Jeanette Hoyt.
I'm an adult educator at Wright College, Humboldt Park campus, and Olive Harvey. Can't hear you. Oh, is it? I can hear me. That's much better. Okay. I appreciate that. I'm an adult educator at Wright College, Humboldt Park campus, and at Olive Harvey, South Chicago Learning Center. Before I even begin, thank you for addressing food insecurity. It's really important at both of the places I teach. And it's been brought to my attention when I teach a Zoom class. My students after class have asked me, please, Ms. Hoyt, we need food. And so I now send my students to the Wellness Center, and I send them to a specific person at South Chicago, at the South Chicago campus. So I know now how to direct my students so they can continue to come to class. Because if they don't have food, they can't even continue to come to class because they can't learn. So that's huge, and thank you for that. So I'm an adult educator teacher at City College of Chicago. Like the majority of AE teachers at CCC, I teach a combination of English as a second language and general education development GED classes for adult students. My students range from recently arrived in Chicago to have been living in Chicago for many, many years. All of my students are committed to learning English and to being American high school graduates. My students come from South America, Africa, the Caribbean, Eastern Europe, Ukraine, and other countries. The vast majority of my AE students are working. Some also have families and children. My students are coming to morning classes and evening classes, juggling family and job commitments in order to increase their English language proficiency. AE students work so hard. And I say that as somebody who works full-time, who's also working on my doctoral degree. AE students work so hard. They work harder than me. Adult educators at City Colleges of Chicago and represented by AFSCME 3506, adult educators and coordinators, have been working without a CCC employment contract for 1.5 years. Adult educators at City of Chicago are the only union employees at CCC that are working without a ratified contract. Adult educators and the students we teach are an important and integral part of Chicago. In this time of political flux, acknowledging and strengthening our commitment to adult education students at City Colleges of Chicago through ensuring their adult education teachers have a fair and equitable employment contract supports our communities in Chicago in this time of political flux. Thank you.
Okay. We will now have an audit presentation and a fiscal year 2024 audit update presentation. CFO Rodriguez, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair Nucas. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Yes? How about now? Better? Okay. Thank you, Chair Nucas. Good afternoon, Chair, Chancellor, trustees, and officers of the district. Welcome to the December 5th board meeting. In today's meeting, our external auditors, RSM, will do a presentation on CCC's FY24 financial audit. I will also present the FY24 audited financial for the operating fund, as well as the FY 2025 first quarter preliminary financial forecast. I will also be joined by AVC of Financial Aid and Scholarships, Tiffany Morrison, and AVC of Institutional Resource Development, Liz Gardner, to provide management responses to the audit findings presented by RSM. I would like to thank Jolena Nanalig, AVC of Finance and Accounting, as well as the entire finance team, including colleges and district office staff, for all the hard work in completing this year's audit. Thank you. And with that, I will invite Kelly Kirkman, partner at RSM, to come up for the presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I guess, how do I get the presentation on the screen? Oh, there we go. Perfect. So as Maribel mentioned, my name is Kelly Kirkman. I am a partner with RSM, and with me is Ronnie Christopher. She is a senior manager with the firm. We're here today to give you an overview of the audit process. So I'm not going to go into detailed analysis of the numbers. That'll be Maribel and her team, but more to give you a general overview of the process, go through some required communications that we have to the board, and then talk a little bit about the single audit. So as I mentioned, this is the team, Kelly, Ronnie, and then a couple other key individuals that I mentioned that I have listed that aren't here today. And then we also, one thing want to point out is that we do subcontract a portion of the audit to a MBE and a WBE firm as well. So it's RSM in combination with these two firms that are working together on your audit. The scope of the services, so the audit, once you get it, it's a big book. So it's 200 and some pages. And within there, we have multiple opinions. So we're opining on your financial statements. We're opining on a schedule of enrollment. There's some grant reports that you have with the ICCB. There's your federal single audit. And then there's also the foundations report. So it's the audit, the timeline, we start in June and we end in November. So it is a long process. We're asking management for a lot of information. It's very time intensive. So one thing is the audit was completed this year on November 26th. So that's what I have listed out as the date of all these opinions. And just want to point out that is ahead of last year. So the audit is continuing to move forward quicker than it has in the past. Our responsibility with the audit is we opine on the financial statements, but the financial statements are the responsibility of management. So within those financial statements, we are not going through and testing 100% of the balances. We're sampling information and we're performing tests over specific transactions and controls to be able to opine on those statements. In 2024, similar to the prior year, it was an unmodified opinion. So an unmodified opinion, it's a clean opinion, it's the best opinion you can get. So no issues or anything that are, were pointed out there. Required communications to the board. The first has to do with accounting policies. If there were any exceptions to any accounting policies, we would, list these out in the letter to you, and there are none. If management adopted any new policies or if there were any changes in policies, we would let the board know about that as well. And again, there were none. No disagreements with management. No significant accounting policies that we took issues with. And then there was just one, we call it a significant unusual transaction, but one transaction that we did spend some time discussing with management, and that just really had to do with an agreement that was between the college, the foundation, and a third party, 1 Million Degrees. So I'm sure the board is familiar with the contract, but It was just, we talked through with management the accounting treatment of the contract. So it was a unique transaction. It was not in the normal course of business, and it was just something that we spent some time talking with management about. When Maribel presents, some of the financial information, some of the things just to keep in mind are that, the financial numbers that you're looking at, it does include, management's judgment and estimates. So, the numbers that you're presented, I have, a bunch of different areas listed out here, but there are, inputs that management has coming up with those estimates. So, certain allowances, some of your liabilities, a lot of, actuarial information goes into those. So keeping these type of, these areas in mind, just, it makes sure, it can make your financial statements fluctuate. So just something that we like to point out. Another required communication, we just need to let the board know if there were any audit adjustments as a result, of our procedures. And here we have listed 3, and they're all pretty minor. The first one has to do with the transaction with the foundation and OMB. So really just making sure the accounting was recorded correctly for that. And then the other 2 really is just, one is a balance sheet only adjustment, and then the other one was at the end of the year when you get your final legal letter, just accruing for some additional liabilities there. We're also required to communicate any uncorrected misstatements. These are misstatements that come up during the course of the audit that are small enough that management doesn't have to book, that we do just, have to present to the board. Again, here, there's nothing, significant to point out, and if you look from year to year, they're all consistent with prior years. Internal control and compliance observations. So as I mentioned, there was that one unusual transaction that we spent some time discussing with management with 1 million degrees. So that is detailed out in the single audit report. And then with the single audit report, wanted to point out that, the City Colleges receives about $90 million of federal funding. Of that funding, we tested 3 programs this year, student financial aid, and then, 2 smaller ones that I have listed there. So when we're looking at that, we test about almost 90% of your federal programs. So the single audit is very detailed. We ask for a lot of information. We're, go back and forth with management. It's very time consuming. So happy to report that this year there were only 2 findings in the single audit, which is down significantly from 8 findings in the prior year. And those findings are really minor anyways, if you see. So we do some testing for student financial aid on enrollment reporting. And as you can see, there were just a couple students where, information wasn't reported correctly to the NSLDS. So very minor, no issues with question costs or anything like that. And then the final finding just has to do with reporting, a couple reports that were issued a little bit late. So again, I think the important thing to point out here is that there were no question costs or inappropriate, spending of federal funds is really what you're looking at with the single audit. Really, in conclusion, the audit, I know I've only been up here a couple minutes, but we were out with management for almost 6 months, and it is long. We ask for a lot of stuff, and I think everyone on the finance team, they're great to work with, they're responsive, and big thing is that it was completed earlier in the prior year with less findings. So I think overall it was a pretty successful audit. I am happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. I think, as Kelly just mentioned, the audit was completed on November 26th, which is in advance of the December 15 deadline required by the ICCB, and we receive a clean opinion. On the next slide here, we show our FY24 operating results for the FY24 audit. As you can see here, we had an operating surplus of $36 million. Revenues were unfavorable to budget by $2.8 million, and expenses were favorable to budget by $38.8 million. Notably, what you'll see on the revenue side, personal property replacement tax, or otherwise known as PPRT or corporate tax collections collected at the state level from the state, were $16 million lower than budget due to the state tax law changes that have resulted in severe reductions to PPRT allocations beginning this year. We also had revenue favorability from property taxes at $9.5 million, which includes upside from the city declared TIF surplus, county collections improvements, and investment income was $5.2 million favorable to budget, and this is due to higher market yields as we've seen in the markets. And lastly here, tuition revenue was also favorable to budget by $2.9 million due to enrollment gains. On the expense side, personnel costs were $9.7 million unfavorable to budget due to overestimates in salvage savings from employee turnover, along with continued higher cost trends in the healthcare benefit costs. This was offset by significant savings in the other post-employment benefits, or OPEB, which came in at $43.2 million favorable to budget in our recent actuarial analysis, which accounted for recent changes in retiree health plans. Contractual services, materials and supplies, and travel and conference expenses collectively achieved savings of $7.5 million, which helped offset the $3.7 million overage in fixed charges due to the timing delay in the bond refunding. I will pause here in case you have any questions. So the next slide shows the net asset value change from FY 2017 to FY 2024, broken out by three major net asset categories. As you can see here, unrestricted, restricted, and investments in capital assets. We are pleased to report that the unrestricted net assets improved by $15 million to $51 million at the June 30th, 2024 audit, which continues our strengthened financial positioning and accumulation of positive fund balances. We're also exceeding the GFOA recommended minimum level of 5% of operating expenses, or $16 million. It is important to note that the unrestricted fund balance significantly dropped by $76 million in FY 2017 due to the GASB 75 requirement to report the total OPEB liability as an expense on our books. But overall, I think what we have to celebrate here is that we've seen a significant improvement in the unrestricted fund balance. We came from a negative $114 million to $51 million, which is an overall significant improvement of $165 million. This is where the rating agencies review this as very positive for us. And as I'll cover on the credit rating slide, you'll see the benefits of being able to continue to show our financial resilience. So the next slide shows our operating cash balances. This is for the period of 2016 through 2024. Cash reserves, as you can see here, were $55 million in 2017, and this was due to the state budget impasse, where we had to use our cash reserves to cover operating and capital expenditures. Under the leadership of Chancellor Salgado, we've been able to stabilize our cash reserves to healthy levels with strong fiscal management, including the sale of the downtown headquarters in FY 2020. At fiscal year end, cash balances of $125 million are well above the $85 million CCC policy of 90 days cash on hand. So this slide summarizes our FY 2024 capital expenditures. The FY 24 capital budget focused on enhancements to information technology and select student-facing enhancements, in addition to critical deferred maintenance projects. Actual spend was roughly $32 million below the $55 million budget, with controlled spending on non-critical projects that were contingent on additional state funding and many other multi-year projects, which will continue into future years. Okay. So this brings us to an update for the first quarter FY 2025. As you can see here, we're forecasting a deficit of $8.5 million, which we plan to cover with cash reserves. On the revenue side, we are projecting to be unfavorable by $4.6 million, mainly resulting from the continued reductions in PPRT, as I mentioned earlier, which is currently projecting to be $10.6 million unfavorable to budget. This is offset by TIF favorability of $3.6 million based on preliminary information released by the City of Chicago, State and federal grants are forecasted to be $1.6 million unfavorable to budget, combined due to reductions of adult debt funding. We're also happy to report that tuition revenue is favorable to budget by $3.3 million due to continued enrollment growth reported for fall and tracking into the spring thus far. On the expense side, we are forecasting to be unfavorable by $3.9 million due to enrollment-driven increases in part-time instruction spend, along with reductions in state mental health appropriations that support our wellness staff positions. So the next slide is a summary of our recent news from our rating agency. We get rated by Fitch and S&P. So you can see here, Fitch upgraded CCC's rating from AA minus to AA minus from single A plus with a stable outlook. The analyst noted our upgrade was driven by our financial strengthening and relatively low long-term liability burdens. Last year, S&P upgraded CCC's rating one notch from BBB to BBB plus with a stable outlook. Okay. With that, that brings us to our section for the financial audit findings, and I will call on to Jelena Nanalik to cover the first one. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jelena Nanalik, AVC of Finance and the Treasurer. I'll do the first finding. The second finding is going to be presented by Tiffany Morrison, and then the third finding will be presented by Liz Gardner. The first finding is for the finance finding is due to the 1 million degrees agreement with CCC and the foundation. Funds were transferred and recorded routinely as revenue and expense by both CCC and the foundation sides. In this agreement, though, the foundation is acting as a trustee between CCC and OMD. The funds transferred should have been recorded as receivables between CCC and the foundation. The corrective action will be CCC Finance will work with the director of the foundation and review all of the agreements and ensure that the terms and conditions are clearly understood and accounted for in accordance with proper accounting procedure guidelines. The anticipated completion for the corrective action plan will be December 31st, 2024. Now, Tiffany will come up, number 2.
Thank you, Jolena. I am here to speak on the audit finding related to financial aid and enrollment reporting. Before I get started, I just want to say I hope you heard Kelly when she said we were down from 8 to 2, with one of those being within financial aid. So that is a huge reduction, and I want to give a wonderful thank you to District Director Leticia Garcia for her blood, sweat, and tears and hours on end working with Kelly and her team to get that information. But it is a finding for enrollment reporting, which is essentially how our enrollment is reported from the National Student Clearinghouse to National Student Loan Data System. In this instance, there were 4 students who were tested out of the subjective population, and in 2 instances, it was due to a timing delay of an error message. So there were files that were sent or processed the end of February with city colleges, but weren't processed from National Student Clearinghouse until around March 5th, so they missed that March 1st date. If there was an error that had populated, it pushed the file back to the academic system team to make those updates. So with that, those 2 students were affected, and there was another instance where a student was updated at a later date. We are required to report within 60 days. With these, we went a little bit over, but again, I just want to speak to financial aid has been processing. I'm here speaking on behalf of myself and AVC Clark, Laura Clark over Academic Systems, whose team is the party who reports the information from the National Student Clearinghouse. Our corrective action is that the teams within financial aid, academic systems, and the compliance teams will continue to review and work together and meet on a bi-weekly basis, and they will also commit to reviewing any training materials sent out by National Student Clearinghouse and National Student Loan Data System to resolve any error messages which may populate or push back our student files. But again, no cash associated to this, no money sent back for Title IV, 1 error. Any questions for that? Yes.
Not a question, but just for the presentation of all of the findings, one, again, appreciate the fact that there's been a reduction in findings. And two, it's one thing to have a current finding, but putting things in place going forward to avoid anything coming up is really important too. So I appreciate, you know, the charts that you have here, like listing the things that are going to happen going forward to avoid there being any findings in the future. That part is really important. Anybody can make a mistake, but if you don't correct it going forward, that's when it becomes problematic. So.
And thank you. And that's the one thing, we meet bi-weekly. Financial aid and academic systems will continue to do that. And with those error messages particularly, the compliance team with the academic systems is going to be aware and abreast of any communications that are sent out by the clearinghouse to alert colleges and universities of this, because just so you know, City Colleges is not the only university or college who had that particular one. It's multiple universities and colleges across the board. So just staying abreast on that communication from clearinghouse and NSLDS will also help us. Thank you.
Shout out to the ladies too for making it all happen.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Liz Gardner. I'm the Associate Vice Chancellor of Institutional Resource Development, and I'm here to report on the finding for performance reporting, specifically for grants. So 2 grants were tested. These are 2 federal grants that have passed through ICCB and awarded to the colleges. These grants are the Child Care and Development Block Grant and the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds. The auditors, upon testing, discovered that there were late performance reporting. And again, I want to iterate what AVC Morrison said, is that there are no costs associated with this. There are no questionable costs. This is all about submitting reporting to the grantors. Of the 8 that were late, 1 was 30 days late, and the others were 1 to 2 days. So by a margin. So I will say, you know, Trustees Hightower, I'm really glad that you said that, because the management response to grants management has been, we've been working and putting staff and a team in place to support this work. So our response is that the team, this is our first fiscal year where we are fully staffed. We have 3 grants managers that work with PIs or principal investigators on every single grant at every single college. And we are committed to principal investigators and grants managers working together for performance reporting, review, and submission in a timely manner. So this is something that we are committed to doing, and I've already met with the team. We've had this conversation, and we're really excited to get moving forward and getting this finding sorted. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we didn't have the slide on your finding that we were speaking of. However, Liz provided a lot of context on that. So again, appreciate your feedback, Trustee Hightower, and everyone else on the team as well, all the ladies, and of course the gentleman here on the team. So with that, that concludes our presentation on the audit. I'm happy to go back to any previous slide and answer any questions you may have, or if you have any follow-up questions after today's meeting, we'll be glad to get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, CFO Rodriguez. As stated earlier, the FC4 president will not be attending the meeting today. However, the report will be entered into the record. And we will not have a district update today. I mean, we had the audit presentation instead. Trustee Hatch, please proceed with the committee report.
We will now proceed to consider the items on December 5th, 2024 consent agenda. This month, all items for the board action are on the consent agenda, which is printed on the paper that can be picked up outside this room. Okay. All right, thank you. In the committee meeting today, we heard remarks from CFO Mabriel Rodriguez regarding the audit update and the RSM presentation that was going to be presented at the regular board meeting. We also reviewed the minutes, resolutions, excluding resolutions 1.2, which was to be reviewed and voted after the closed session. Personnel report, resource development report, agreements, purchases, and legal notices, legal invoices rather, included on today's finance and administrative services agenda are part of the consent agenda to the December 5th, 2024 regular board meeting. Chair Nuquez, this concludes our report.
Thank you, Trustee Hatch. We will now proceed to consider the items on the December 5th, 2024 consent agenda. This month, all items for board action are on the consent agenda, which is printed on the paper that can be picked up outside this room. I would note again for the record that these items were discussed in detail in the committee meeting preceding this board meeting, as noted during the committee report. Does any trustee have questions or comments on any of the items listed on the consent agenda or wish for separate action on any of these items? May I have a motion to approve the minutes, resolutions, personnel report, research development report, agreements, purchases, and legal invoices contained in the consent agenda and identified as part of the printed agenda on a single roll call vote?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Will the chief advisor call the roll?
Chair Nuquez,
Approved?
Vice Chair Hatch,
Approved.
Secretary Davis,
Approved.
Trustee Hightower,
Approved.
Trustee Ramirez,
Approved.
Thank you all.
Trustee Davis.
Approved.
Thank you all. Let the record show that the minutes, resolutions, personnel report, research development report, agreements, purchases, and legal invoices included on the printed December 5th, 2024 consent agenda have all been approved. Now, in accordance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act, the board may hold a closed session for the discussion of matters related to a number of specified topics. Today's closed session will be for the discussion of matters related to the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees or of the public body or legal counsel for the public body. Collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. Litigation, when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting. May I have a motion to go into a closed session with a roll call vote?
So moved.
Second.
Will the chief advisor please call the roll?
Chair Nuquez,
Approved.
Vice Chair Hatch,
Approved.
Secretary Davis,
Approved.
Trustee Hightower,
Approved.
Trustee Ramirez.
Approved.
Let the record show that the closed session motion has been approved. We'll be back.
At the bottom.
The December 5, 2024 regular board meeting is now reconvened. There was no action taken during closed session, which requires action in open session. There being no further business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion carried, we are adjourned.